So,
Okay, so where was I? Actually, can't remember where I was. Um, anyway, so we were talking about how the Lord is the only seer. The Lord can see, even though the cosmic manifestation was not present. If I said, walk into a room and imagine nothingness, you would still see the room. If I said, go outside and imagine nothingness, you would still see the sky. So the concept of nothingness cannot be present for us, but only for the Lord who predates even the existence of things. But that is strictly speaking not true, but we'll get to that point in a second. The cosmic manifestation was not present at that time, thus he felt imperfect without his plenary and separated parts and parcels. So plenary expansion are the avatars, the expansions of the Lord. Plenary means complete whole. So Narayan is an expansion, well, or you could say Krishna expands into Balaram. Balaram is a plenary part of Krishna. Balaram expands into Sankarshan, Anirudh, Vasudeva, and Pradyumna. They are plenary expansions of Balaram, who is a plenary expansion of the Lord. They again expand into Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Anirudh, Vasudeva. And then Sankarshan expands again into Karanyadakshayi Vishnu, Karanyadakshayi Vishnu, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu, and Shirodakshayi Vishnu. So these are all the plenary expansions of the Lord. Then there's also these separated parts and parcels. That means the jivas. We are all jivas eternally. So the Lord is talking about a time when no one had expanded from the Lord. But again, there's a bit of a controversy there. So we'll speak about that afterward. The material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifested. So we see again here that there is a difference between the internal potency, antaranga shakti, the energy of the Lord directly, and the material energy, the external energy, the energy which is non-permanent. So the world in which we live in is non-permanent. Even if you see a great oak tree, you know that that great oak tree was once an acorn. So it was not always an oak tree. It was once a tiny acorn that had fallen off another oak tree and gone into the ground. And you also know that that great oak tree will not live forever. Maybe it will live for 100 years, maybe even 500 years. I've even seen a 1,000-year-old oak tree, but I've never seen a 2,000-year-old tree or a 5,000-year-old tree or a 10,000-year-old tree. So even that tree, as vast as it is now, will again become dirt and dust and soil. And again, an acorn will fall and then it will expand up. So in the same way, we see the material energy sometimes is fully manifest as an oak tree, and sometimes it is dormant like an acorn, or dormant like the soil, or sometimes it's somewhere in between. So the material energy has this tendency to appear in different ways and then contract in different ways, to give birth, to grow, to give offspring, to age, and then to die and to restart the cycle again. But the internal potency does not have that nature. We don't see Krishna. If Krishna is infinitely old, why is he not walking around with a wheelchair or with a crutch? So old, you should be near to death, because the material energy, the internal potency, does not have this tendency to, how do you say, to flourish and then to dilapidate, to fade away. So let's read the purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanarvindam Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The Lord is the supreme seer, because only by his glance did the material energy become active for cosmic manifestation. At that time, the seer was there, but the external energy over which the glance of the Lord is cast was not present. He felt somewhat insufficient. So, actually, before we go to that sentence, the external energy over which the glance of the Lord is cast was not present. So that external energy, which is called the dormant material energy in this verse, is known as Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva. That is like the toolbox, or you could say the color palette, all the different colors that the Lord uses to create this universe. And just by his glance, he looks at this color palette, the Mahatattva, and then he creates this creation. He felt somewhat insufficient, like a husband feeling lonely in the absence of his wife. Husband in the absence of his wife. Interesting. So we should know that ultimately the material energy is an expansion. Who is Krishna's wife, or who is Krishna's consort? Is Srimati Radharani. She is his energy. He is the energetic. He is the light bulb. She is the electricity. Electricity without a light bulb, there's power, but there's no utility. It's just energy. A light bulb without electricity, there is the Shaktimam. So the Shakti is the electricity. The Shaktimam is the vehicle which can channel the energy. So Krishna is the Shaktimam. Srimati Radharani is the Shakti. Krishna is the light bulb. Srimati Radharani is the energy. One requires the other to have full effect. Srimati Radharani's energy can only be fully reposed in Krishna's light bulb, and then the illumination will happen. So the energy, the expansion of Srimati Radharani into the material nature. Srimati Radharani expands into Lakshmi, Lakshmi expands into Durga. The energy, the source of energy of Vaikuntha is Lakshmi, and the source of energy within, the source of all creation is Durga and Bhudevi in this material world. So the Lord is there, but his energy is not there. He's like, hey, I'm the Shakti-man, where is my Shakti? Prabhupada goes on to say, this is a poetic simile. Simile means it is similar. It is an illustrative example. The Lord wanted to create the cosmic manifestation to give another chance to the conditioned souls who were dormant in forgetfulness. Dormant in forgetfulness. We started after class by giving that anecdote. Sometimes we're asleep at the wheel in this life. We're absorbed in so many other things. Even though externally, we may even be absorbed in service. We may be chanting, but we're dormant. We're so engrossed. We slumber about us being part of this material world. Us thinking again that we can derive some happiness from this world. No. Jeev Jago. Jeev Jago. Don't be dormant in forgetfulness. Don't be asleep. Be awake. Prabhupada goes on to say in this purport, the cosmic manifestation gives the conditioned souls a chance to go back home, back to Godhead. And that is its main purpose. That is its main purpose. The main purpose is not a school education, is not a degree, is not the money in your bank balance, is not the wife that you marry, is not the kids that you have, is not the position in society, is not the size of your house, it's not the clothes that you wear, it's not the body that you build, it's not the fame that you achieve, it's none of those things. Those things are useful so far as they are supporting what? Your main purpose to go back home, back to Godhead. I will speak for myself. Sometimes we need to be jettisoned. We need someone to light that fire underneath us. Hey, get back on track. That's what the sadhu, the guru, is for. The Lord is so kind that in the absence of such a manifestation, he feels something wanting, and thus the creation takes place. Although the creation of the internal potency was manifested, the other potency appeared to be sleeping. So the internal potency, like we said, is eternal. It doesn't diminish. It's always there. It doesn't age. In fact, it's ever fresh, ever expanding, ever increasing. Whereas the material world is the same, cyclical, time after time after time. Yuga after yuga. Same thing is happening. And the Lord wanted to, although the creation of the internal potency was manifested, the other potency, i.e. the external potency, the material world, appeared to be sleeping. And the Lord wanted to awaken her to activity, just as a husband wants to awaken his wife from the sleeping state for enjoyment. It is the compassion of the Lord for the sleeping energy that he wants to see her awaken for enjoyment, like the other wives who are awake. The whole process is to enliven the sleeping conditioned souls to the real life of spiritual consciousness, so that they thus become as perfect as the ever liberated souls in the Vaikuntha Loka. Since the Lord is Satchit Ananda Vigraha, he likes every part and parcel of his different potencies to take part in the blissful rasa, because participation with the Lord in his eternal Ras Leela is the highest living condition, perfect in spiritual bliss and eternal knowledge. Wow. So Srila Prabhupada has gone, taking us through the whole cycle, from the period of the point that the jiva is completely dormant to the highest most state of the jiva, which is to be engaged in the Ras Leela. Ras Leela means that one-to-one connection with the Supreme Personality of God. One-to-one connection, one-to-one time. So from being totally dormant, not even knowing that the Lord exists, what to speak of knowing the Lord, becoming friends with, living with the Lord, but to actually have one-on-one time with the Lord, that is the promise of us, for all eternity, if we're able to go back home, back to God. You know, if somebody said, you can go and there is a mountain of gold, you can go and there is all security over there, you can go and all your wishes will be fulfilled. Would you say, but you just have to go now? Go straight and you'll get it. Would you say, oh, but you know, I just need to carry on a few more days of work to build up my bank balance? Baba, there is a mountain of gold over there. Oh, but I just need to make a little wooden sword to protect myself. Baba, there is all security over there. You just need to go and get it. You know, don't miss the boat. Don't miss the last crossing. Just go and get it, and everything that you need can be solved. What can you do? Tiny little arrangements for yourself. No. So these conversations are there to alert us. So this is actually conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. As we know, the first 16 verses, Vidura was asking questions. He was setting the tone, setting the stage. Now Maitreya is answering. And it's interesting that Maitreya even says a few verses back, I think it's verse 21, that he's revealed, he's dropped the bombshell. He said, your good self is one of the eternal associates of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for whose sake the Lord, while going back to his abode, left instructions with me. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine someone said to you, hey, I've got this message for you. And you said, okay. And he said, yeah, it's actually an important message. It was left specifically for you. You said, okay, who's it from? And they said, oh, yeah, it's from Krishna. You're like, huh? It's a message specifically tailored for you, Hitesh, from Krishna. Wouldn't you just, your eyes just pop open? I mean, how astonishing is that? Maybe it's a message from, you know, you've missed a delivery, or, you know, you've got to pay this bill, or you've got to collect this thing from that person by this time. But no, there is a message here which has been left with me by Krishna. I'm so glad that you came, because this message is specifically for you. Oh, and by the way, you are one of the eternal associates of Krishna. So that is the junction. That's where we find ourselves. I mean, how wonderful, really, for Vidur, that he's found himself in this situation. So I want to go back to one of the points which was covered. Well, I guess we can come to that later. We can come to that point later. We'll cover this first. You know, we often talk about the 10 topics of the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, 10th verse, second canto, 10th chapter, first verse. Shri Shuka Vacha, Atra Sargo Vasargascha, Stanam, Poshanam, Uttaya, Manvantaresha Anukata, Nirodo Muktir Ashrayaha. Atra Sargo Vasargascha. Atra. Sarga is creation, Vasarga is the sub-creation. Stanam, the planetary systems, Poshanam, protection, Uttaya, the creative impetus, Manvantara, the changes in the Manu, Isha Anukata, the science of God, Nirodo, going back home, back to Godhead, Mukti, Mukti, liberation, and Ashraya, the Sanam and Bodham. 10 topics of the Bhagavad Gita. So Sarga and Visarga, creation and sub-creation. That's what we're talking about here. Now, generally, even though all of these 10 topics are found throughout the Bhagavatam, we know that creation comes earlier on. Creation has a whole canto dedicated to it, and yet we still have topics of creation. That shows the importance of understanding these principles. It's not that we just, we've cleared off that and this is all filler. No, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, if you understand even just this first verse of Bhagavatam fully, in fact, to my recollection, while Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was in Vrindavan, I think he was in Radhakund, I need to reconfirm that, but for 28 days, he made his disciples again and again, just on the first verse, give another class, another class, another class. So it's never that we've cleared over that now, let us get to the good stuff. No, if you even understand one verse, one topic, one principle of the Srimad Bhagavatam fully, absolutely, that is enough to give you the qualification to go back to God. Hence, we have this reiteration of these different topics. So the Lord is saying that he is the proprietor of everything. The Lord in this verse is saying that he's a proprietor of everything. Of course, he's talking about the creation. So Maitreya is talking about the creation, the sarga and visarga. But the Lord is saying that he is the proprietor of everything. So this immediately should take our mind back to Sri Ishopanishad. What is mantra 1 for the Sri Ishopanishad? Or even before that, if we go to the invocation, Om Purnam Ada Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he is completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world and this material creation, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. So if you have something perfect and you take something from that perfect, by extension, this is going to be perfect. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Even if we took 1 bucket of water from the ocean, would the ocean go down? Even if we took 100 buckets, 1,000 buckets, 1 billion buckets, 1 trillion buckets, even if we just had a pump all day and all night, taking water from the ocean onto the land, would we say, oh, sea level's going down, we're running out of water? No, it's impossible. So vast is that ocean. And actually, ultimately, the water would seep down through the ground and back into the ocean. It's not that it's gone off anywhere. In the same way, this material creation is complete and perfect because it is from a complete and perfect source. Because ultimately, the Lord is creating and sustaining. Even if he redirects some of his energy somewhere else, he does not become diminished. It just, apparently, it's become reorganized. Not that the Lord is some limited, finite. He is unlimited and infinite and infinite. So Sri Ishopan is showing that the proprietor. But then the next verse number 1, Ishavasham idam sarvam yatkincha jagatam jagat tena tyaktena bunjita magridam kasyam suddhanam. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Lord. Maitreya Rishi is saying the Lord is the proprietor. And here Sri Ishopanishad is confirming that. One should therefore only accept those things necessary for himself, which are set aside as his quota. And one should not accept other things, knowing well to whom they belong. If you go into somebody's house and they kindly invite you to stay the night, and they prepare a beautiful room for you and a nice bathroom and all facilities and maybe a nice pair of slippers, knowing that you're in somebody else's house, you may make use of those things. You appreciate the hospitality, but are you trying to run out the door with the slippers in your back pocket? Are you trying to take the soap and hide it under your arm as you're walking out? Oh, I'll take one of these towels. Oh, those pillows are nice. And then you walk off. Of course not. If somebody is a gracious host, yes, by all means, make use of it properly. But do not take that which is not yours. And even more so, if you've been given a particular room and a particular bedroom, your quota, and maybe there's 3 or 4 other rooms with 3 or 4 other guests, do you sneak off into somebody else's room and take their pillows, take their slippers, take their soap, take their towel? And then when they come into the room, they're like, hey, there's not even a bed here. Somebody's taken out the sink. There's nothing left for me. No, because you're not the proprietor. If anything, if you have a good host and you are a good guest and you have something in surplus, you may even go and ask your neighbor, is there anything that you need to make your stay more comfortable? You know, why would you be so greedy to hoard something that isn't yours? You should have the mentality, because the proprietor is somebody who said, I'm a guest, and this is, why don't I make his stay? I'm perfectly well taken care of. Let me make his stay more comfortable. You see, Srila Prabhupada even gives an example in Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction, of a cart laden with grain, sacks of grain. And the cart is traveling along. And all of a sudden, one huge sack of grain falls off, hits the road and splits open. The cart rumbles on, trundles on without the sack of grain. And as that grain is spilled out, you know what happens? All the creatures in this beautiful place are attracted over to the grain. A bird will fly down, it'll take a few grains, and it'll fly back to the nest. Maybe a squirrel will come and it will take a few grains. Maybe a fox will come and it will take a few grains. They take what they need, but then they leave the rest. A man will come, he'll see that sack of grains, and he will pick up that whole sack, whether he needs the whole sack or not, and he'll leave it in his house to rot and to spoil. Maybe he'll eat this much of that huge sack, and the rest will just be lying there. This is completely against the proprietorship. And this is exactly what Varnashram's system is designed to counteract. It is this mentality, this untrained mentality, thinking that we are the proprietors rather than the Lord is the proprietor, which leads to all of the suffering, all of the inequality, all of the anxiety that we experience in human society. We are always hankering for more and more, or even just to get our basic quota. You know, somebody has come in and robbed the bed of its pillows and of its mattress, you know, has robbed the kitchen of its own tap. Prabhupada used to say the elephant eats tons and tons of food a day. What is the scarcity for human beings? If the elephant can eat tons and tons of food a day, is there not this much for us? People are hoarding, people are stockpiling. More than ever before, we see that maybe 10,000 people in this world have hoarded a disproportionately huge amount of wealth that they and all of their descendants will not be able to spend in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of generations. And the rest of society is squabbling and striving and working so hard just to get their quota between themselves. This all stems from this misunderstanding that I am the proprietor. Who can say that they created the world? Who can say that they put the minerals into them? Yes, you may have extracted it. I may have taken the soap from the bathroom that I find myself in, but it wasn't my bathroom and I didn't put the soap there in the first place. Equally, I may say, I mined this, but did you put it in there? You've just pulled it out. Whoever put it in there is a proprietor. Whoever created this forum is the proprietor, and that proprietor is being clearly stated here in Srimad Bhagavatam as being the Supreme Lord. So we see therefore that the Lord is the proprietor. And then we see moving forward, the cosmic manifestation was not present at that time. He felt imperfection without his plenary and separated parts and parcel. So we've already stated that the plenary portions of the Lord are his expansions. They're the different avatars. And his separated parts and parcels are the jivas. You see how the Lord, he has everything. The Lord is the source of everything. And yet he is feeling imperfection without the reciprocation of others. If ever there was an example that you can impress in people's mind in this day and age. It is that true happiness comes when there is some exchange between living beings. And I often give this example, but I don't think you can give this example or remind ourselves of this enough. Imagine you have a fast car, Ferrari. You drive across. If you're on a desert island with a Ferrari, would it make a difference if you were driving a Ferrari or a Maruti 500 or Peugeot 505? I'm sure some of you in East Africa must know about Peugeot 505s or whatever, very simple, old, Corolla. If you're on a desert island, would it matter? The only reason that it matters is because we elicit a certain response from others. Other people are, hey, this guy, he's got himself together. He's got a Ferrari. He must be someone important. So is it the car that is important, or is it the response from others? And that too, even if somebody sees you with your Ferrari, how long do you think they'll remember that for? A minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, maybe a day. And then they'll forget it. We've seen so many cars, who cares? Okay, great, good for you. Move on. If you use that same resource, that same facility to help someone or to help somebody dear to that person, you sponsor someone's child through school, or you create a shelter, or you assist somebody's mother, that same pool of resources, that person will love and praise and pray for you for life. There will not be a waking or sleeping moment that that person will not have and be willing to do something to reciprocate for you. So you see the value, the thing that is enjoyable, the thing that actually moves us. And the way to use the resources of this world is to create and forge those relationships with people which move them so deeply. Because it is the exchange, the abhideya, the activity, but after that sambandha, building that relationship, that is actually meaningful. Krishna himself, he can manifest 1 billion, forget Ferraris, he has vehicles which are solid gold and can fly and can travel to other planets. And yet he is feeling incomplete. Why? Because he doesn't have the exchange. So he himself is showing that actually having the exchange, all of these things and these resources in this world are there for complementing that exchange between living entities. We have, so we can create a forum, a home to be able to invite devotees or invite potential devotees to come. We have food, not just so we can feed our belly, so we can offer that to Krishna and have a loving exchange with other devotees and create meaningful bonds. It is not just about having these things and eliciting some temporary jealousy or envy. No, we want to have meaningful exchange. And that is the purpose of this creation. That is what this material world is there to facilitate. And that is what the resources of the proprietor have been given to us for that purpose, so that we may engage in those relationships, meaningful relationships, and ultimately so that we together may go back and eternally have meaningful relationships with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We even read in the purport that Krishna is saying he likes every part and parcel of his different potencies to take place in the blissful rasa, because participation with the Lord in his eternal Ras Leela is the highest living condition, perfect in spiritual bliss and eternal knowledge. That is why he's made this material energy active to give the souls an opportunity to talk about him, discuss him, remember him, and ultimately to go and be with him. We must become clear that that is the function of this world. We must become clear. And that the meaningful things of this world is how we reestablish those relationships. So finally, Krishna is, Maitreya Muni is saying at the end of this purport, the material energy was dormant, whereas the internal potency was manifested. Previously said the cosmic manifestation was not present at that time. And yet it's interesting because in the Bhagavad Gita, for those of you who know, early on in the chapter of Bhagavad Gita, I think it's 2:11. Natva eva ham jitu nasam, natvam neme janadipaha, nacheva nabhavishyam, sarve vayam ataparam. Krishna is saying, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, Arjuna, nor all these kings and people who are manifested here, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So Krishna is saying, we've always been here. And now in this, Maitreya is saying, oh, the cosmic manifestation was not present at that time. And the Lord felt imperfect because his parts and parcels weren't there. So which one is it? Is it that the Lord has always existed and we have always existed? Or is it that sometimes the Lord exists and we don't exist? Now, what is difficult is that we have to understand that sometimes for the purposes of explanation, things are put in what is called a linear sequence of events. Beginning, middle, and end. You know, it's like a book. A book has a front cover, it has its contents, and it has its rear cover. But the issue with that is that for existence to take place, you can't have a time before existence. Is there a time before anything existed? No, because the Lord was still there. And within the Lord, all the energy was there. So this is actually an illustrative example, that there was a time when the Lord was looking. Actually, the material energy is constantly in this flux. It is being created, it is expanding, it's being destroyed, and then it's immediately being created. And they are simultaneously universe upon universe upon universe upon universe. There is not a time, as we often read in the kind of Abrahamic traditions or other traditions, of a time before. Everything is cyclical. There's always some pastime in this material going on. But then there's some universes which are being destroyed and some universes which are being created and some universes which are just, constant plateauing at that time. So we shouldn't take this in a literal way, or certainly not for all of the material creation, because there isn't just one universe. I hope all of you know that, and you should all see this beautiful diagram, and I'm sure I've sent it before, and I'll send it again, which is the creation of the whole universe. In fact, why don't I try and share that so everyone can see? Creation of universe, Srimad Bhagavatam, just so you can have a visual what it is I'm talking about. Yes, aha, wonderful. Who has the technology to share my screen? Prabhuji?
You can share. Yeah, you can share your screen.
You have the technology, so you're saying you do. Okay, let me see if I can bring up a version which everyone will be able to understand and see. Asking me to go to Facebook, not on Facebook. Let's see if that will hopefully work. Share. It is visible. Is that visible for everyone?
Yes, Prabhuji.
This is the Lord, Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. In fact, this is not showing the whole creation, because this is not showing above, but this is just the material. This area is just the material. This is an expansion of an expansion of expansion of Krishna. In fact, this is not the best. This is a better image. So this will zoom up. Reddit, good old Reddit. So this is the Lord in Goloka Vrindavan. This is the Lord expanding into Balaram and then into Sri Ramachandra. Then he expands into, where is it? Look, Baladev, Balaram is expansion. Then he expands it, like I said, Pradyumna, Shankarshan, Vasudev, Anirudh. Then he expands again, Sankarshan, Vasudev, Anirudh. And we see that from that expansion, you have Mahavishnu, Karana ocean. This means the creation, ocean of creation, Karana, causal ocean. And from this Mahavishnu, each of his pores, a universe will come out. How many pores do we have in our body? Unlimited. Unlimited. So we have unlimited universes which are coming into creation. And what the Lord is talking about, or what the Maitreya is talking about in this description, is just one universe being created. That doesn't mean that there aren't many other universes which are going on simultaneously, but for one universe, this is what is happening. He's making one universe come into existence. And the dormant living entities which may be there in the Mahatattva are then able to populate this universe. This universe lasts for 100 years of Brahma, which is 4.32 trillion years of our life. Actually, no, 8.64 trillion years of our existence. So that is the point. While there is a temporary dormant nature, it doesn't mean that this whole Karana ocean has become dormant. This has always been in existence, and this will always be in existence. Even if little universes may close, that doesn't mean that there was a time when there were no universes. Time is not linear. And we have to not train us, but we have to understand this fact. Everything is eternal. It's not that you came out of something and then you're going to go to hell for a certain period of time. No. This linear notion of zero, like beginning, middle, and end, is not true. Time is eternal. It's a cycle. It has to be. There can't be a time before existence. There can't be a day one. For there to be existence, there has to be eternality, because something cannot come from nothing. It may change the way in which it's appearing. It may be dormant, right? It's just like saying the oak tree. The oak tree came from the acorn, and the acorn got its matter from the soil, and the soil got its matter from the dead leaves, and the dead leaves came from the tree, but the tree came from the acorn, and the acorn came from the soil. You can't go, if you take everything away, how can you start that cycle? Because you will not have, it's like chicken and hen. What came first? The egg or the chicken? Something must have been there for something else to have come out. There can't be a time before. So these things are eternal. I hope I'm making that point clearly. This is something for everybody to reflect on. Because when you absorb these points, you start to realize that as difficult as things may be today, or as good as things may be today, there is no endurance. And even if we have the perfect life in this world, and even if we have the worst life in this world, there is no endurance, because everything in this world is a cycle. That is the nature of this existence. The only place where there is not this cycle is in the spiritual world, is in this realm here. So the whole function of this lower realm, this Karana ocean, is to facilitate, and you can see here the Mahamantra, that is the gateway, that is the escape route. That is the helicopter straight out of here. No climbing the ladder of the different material planetary systems. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That Mahamantra is the way out of the circle of birth and death, out of this material universe, out even of the Brahma Jyoti, and through the effulgence which covers the Lord, up through all of the different interactions you can have to the Lord, to the most confidential, to the most confidential, to that Rasa Leela. If you chant Hare Krishna and you dance, Krishna is non-different. The name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. So dancing with the name of Lord Krishna is non-different with dancing with Krishna himself. And that is what Prabhupada is saying in this purport. That is what Prabhupada is saying. This material universe has been created to allow the living entities to engage personally with Krishna. How? Through this Mahamantra. Wake up, chant this Mahamantra, and you can get that which the sages, the prophets, the ministers, the rishis of all other faiths and all other yugas cannot attain. And that is direct communion with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Hare Krishna, I'll leave it there. Just to recap, very quickly. So we have 3 points then. The Lord is a proprietor of everything. If we understand that the Lord is a proprietor, we'll only take our quota and we'll use the rest of the quota in the service of others. If we understand that the Lord wishes to be with the parts and parcels, we'll understand that true happiness comes from properly engaging with those parts and parcels. Properly engaging means to serve. And the best way to serve is to reconnect people to Krishna. So we use the resources of this planet to help serve others and to engage them in the service of Krishna. We'll find our happiness and we'll make the Lord happy. And ultimately, we see that this material energy was dormant. We have to understand that existence is eternal. Existence is eternal. Existence is a cycle. This cycle will come, it will be up, it will be down. But to break this cycle, we just need the holy name of Krishna. The holy name of Krishna will elevate us out of this cycle, this impermanent place, this eternally impermanent place, to a place of eternal permanency, which is the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the message that was given by Krishna to Maitreya, and Maitreya gave to the Lord's eternal associate, Vidur. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any comments, questions, corrections? Anything else? Realizations? Should I take?
Prabhuji, how are you?
I'm very well. Hare Krishna.
I have a question. You said that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the way to go back to Golok Vrindavan. But what about like in other what do you call it, organizations, spiritual organizations where they have they say Radha Radha, for example, Premanand Maharaj says Radha Radha, and they say different mantras. What about that? Like, is that also a way to go back to God?
So any name of Krishna is pure. In fact, any name of even the plenary expansions of Krishna is pure. Like Ramachandra Raghuvira, Ramachandra Raghuvira. Beautiful, chanting about Lord Ram. Or Om Namo Narayanaya, chanting to Narayan. But so any name that you take of the Lord, of an expansion of the Lord, of the energy of the Lord, is purifying. However, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a special mantra. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is actually given in Srimad Bhagavatam in the 10th canto in a hidden, well, it's alluded to in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and it's given in the Kali, there's the Svetashavatara Upanishad and Kali Santarana Upanishad. But this mantra is actually Radharani's meditation on Krishna. Let me repeat that. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra is Radharani's meditation on Krishna. So this isn't just any mantra. This is not just any name of Krishna. This doesn't just have any mood. Who is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the form of his greatest devotee. Who is Krishna's greatest devotee? Radharani. What is Radharani's mantra? Hare Krishna Mahamantra. What is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mantra? The Hare Krishna Mahamantra. The gurus of the Gaudiya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya are followers coming directly from Srimati Radharani's name. There are 4 sampradayas: Brahma, Shri, Rudra, Komar. They all have their mantras, and they will all take you to, if you can still see the screen, to Vaikuntha Lok. They may even take you to Ayodhya, but they will not take you to Radharani's personal abode with Sri Krishna Brajendra Nandana. That is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended. So to answer in a short way, yes, you will get some benefit from chanting other mantras. Will you get the service, the topmost service, as a follower of Srimati Radharani by following another process? No, you will not. I hope that makes sense, Mataji.
Yes,
and if
thank
you've got
you
any
so much.
yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Any other questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances of Lucia Prabhupada.
Yeah.
I don't have any question for you, just a deep gratitude for really giving us today's class and for sharing the gift of giving us some profound, complex topics in a way that we are a little bit can understand and they relate to us, especially when you even talked about how Krishna on a grand scale created this essentially to get that nectar of having a relationship with someone, and also even in our finite lives, how we can even value these relationships towards and dovetail them towards Krishna. And that's the goal, like really enjoying even in whatever Krishna has given us, our wealth, our intelligence, our relationships. That was very, very profound for me. Thank you so much. And we will pray Krishna to keep adding you more knowledge on this transcendental wisdom you can share with us and more. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
Thank you so much. So should we conclude the class by offering our humble obeisances? Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu vacha patita
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha.
And let's do one Maha Mantra, which hopefully will elevate us a little bit closer to Goloka Vrindavan. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Eastern Eldoret ki Jai.
Jai.
On East Africa ki Jai.
His Holiness Krishna Arjuna ki Jai.
Jai.
Lord Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. See you soon. Hare
Krishna.